Piers Morgan very successfully pissed off second rights amendment proponents last week when talking about strict gun control and how we needed it. This week he's targeting the religious. He had Rick Warren on his program, and he said some very interesting and I think very reasonable things about the Bible. Let's listen.
When the Bible says that if you commit adultery, you're going to be stoned to death.
That is as we said, or that's a civil law for the nation of Israel.
But it's still an element of the Bible that is flawed.
Well, evidently for that generation, that's their commandment.
Exactly my point. Exactly like the Constitution.
But it's not one of the moral laws.
No, but it's still in the Bible, and it's flawed. Both the Bible
I do not
and the
believe
Constitution
the Bible is
were well-intentioned, but they are basically inherently flawed.
What I believe,
hence the need to amend it. My point to you about gay rights, for example, it's time for an amendment to the Bible.
No.
Okay, that's awesome, because I totally disagree with both. Okay, now, Piers Morgan, I obviously agree with him on we probably shouldn't stone the kids to death and, you know, all the other absurd parts of the Bible that we have mentioned, etc. I love Rick Warren's excuse of, no, that's civil law as opposed to moral law.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, and then of course they always pull out that excuse, which he hasn't yet, Old Testament versus New Testament. Oh, that's the Old Testament. Well, hating the gays is also in the Old Testament. Yeah. But we like that part of the Old Testament. But how about not eating shrimp? Oh, come on, that's crazy. That's Old Testament. That's civil law, not moral law. But that Genesis is in the Old Testament. But we like Genesis, so none of it makes any sense. But amending the Bible, this is the part I disagree with Piers Morgan on. What does that mean to amend the Bible? I mean,
but I think
obviously,
it's intentionally ridiculous.
I think he's that's a rhetorical point on him. He's not saying shouldn't we do away with the Bible or ignore the Bible. He knows that's not going to get anywhere with Rick Warren. But imagine if he got Rick Warren to say, yeah, there's some things in the Bible probably need to be amended. You've won the argument.
Yeah. And he said it with a British accent, so it sounded very reasonable to me.
It sounded great. Yeah.
Who would amend the Bible? Would you have to have a biblical convention to amend the Bible? Or maybe just get 2/3 of Congress to sign on to it? We have more from Piers, don't we?
Well, we actually have a response from Rick Warren.
Okay,
Let's listen to that.
What I believe is flawed is human opinion because it constantly changes. I willingly admit that I base my worldview on the Bible, which I believe is true. And truth, my definition of truth is, if it's new, it's not true. If it was true 1,000 years ago, it'll be true 1,000 years from today. Opinion changes, but truth doesn't.
We're going to agree to disagree on that.
Look, you guys care about gays now, but trust me, it'll come back around. We'll hate gays again.
What does that mean? If it's truth 100 years ago and truth now, what is that? What literally does that mean?
It doesn't mean anything. It's a rhetorical flourish that confuses the dumb. Okay, they're like, oh, wait, that sounded good. You're right, truth is eternal. So 1,000 years ago and then 1,000 years from now. Oh man, Rick got him. He got him. Okay, but what did he get him with? What is that like?
What are you talking about?
It's like saying like, if a banana was a banana yesterday, it will also be a banana tomorrow. Well, okay, but then
you can't explain that.
Can't explain. Ties go in, ties go out. Can't explain it. So of course, Rick Warren can't possibly win the argument because to say that the Bible is not flawed is insanity. In the Bible, it's an abomination, and you go to hell forever and are tortured by the sky god if you eat crab or you eat lobster or you eat how can you argue it's not flawed?
Cenk, it's not just that it's morally wrong. There are factual scientific statements in the Bible that are factually wrong. Like the definition of pi, things as specific about like that, about the way that the stars move and the planets move. These are not like just theological questions that we can pose. It makes specific factual statements about the world that are incorrect. And they're incorrect because people were stupid back then, and that's the best they could do. And it's only as good as the best.
They weren't stupid. They were like
by comparison.
They were infants. We were in the we were in the infancy of mankind.
Of
we haven't been around that long.
But it's literally untrue. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and at the same time, that the Bible was written and then amended. And by the way, that's so Piers is kind of right because Constantine amended the Bible in a lot of ways.
And
in fact, he came up with the Bible by piecing together the Gospels that he liked and didn't like for political reasons. But at the same time as all this was happening, people thought that the stars were little holes poked in heaven by God. And so that was heaven shining through. These are the people we're still listening to? Hey.
True 1,000 years ago.
They were wrong about a lot of stuff, but the book That they got totally right.
They knew nothing else.
They didn't know anything. They were constantly wrong about literally everything else. The world wasn't flat. The stars weren't holes spoke by God. But the Bible, they got right. Can we put up the video again without sound just for a second? Now, I know you don't really like this, so it's not really. It's not so much a. It's not so much a fat joke that I want to make.
Sort of.
But here's the thing. Like, I wanted to get to a two-shot before we stop it. Pause it on a two-shot. There we go. That's fine. So, like he's a big guy, and that's totally cool. No problem with that.
You're okay. You're tolerant of big Americans.
That's fine. But it's like, and you're supposed to wear black is slimming, right? But when you wear all black and you're a big guy, I think what the message you send out is, he must be so gigantic because he's wearing.
That's why I didn't know
it's
that.
too much. Like, you got to wear a white shirt, something black jacket. That's fine, because all I think here is like, my God, he just must be the biggest guy in the freaking world. But the black shirt and the black, it's too much. It's too much.
I hear you, but to be fair to him, right before he did the appearance, he ate a whole Bible.